Hi, how are you today? You've tuned into Extra Healthy-ish. This is the big sister podcast to Healthy-ish. Both podcasts from Body+Soul are designed to give you that little bit extra in your day for your mind, body and soul. I'm your host, Felicity Harley. Now, UK fitness superstar Joe Wicks, Liam Hemsworth and Tom Cruise, well, they're all into this trend of cold water immersion. Not just them, but many other people I've been talking to recently are into just turning on the shower and dunking themselves in cold water or jumping into their pools or rivers or lakes or whatever they may have around them. So I want to know more about the Wim Hof Method and I wanted to share it with you. So what is it all about and is it really beneficial for body and mind? Today I'm speaking with Leah Scott. She is a certified Wim Hof Method instructor and she's going to fill us in on what the Wim Hof Method and cold water immersion is all about. Leah, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish. Now, how do you stay extra healthy-ish in your daily life? Aside from cold water immersion, you cannot say that.
Oh, no, that's
something else. Okay, number one. What's number two?
Okay, number two is definitely movement, and I've got to add in healthy food. Okay, organic, beautiful, healthy food, and making sure I get adequate sleep. So that's very important.
Yeah, sleep. It's a fundamental, isn't it? Now, for those of listeners who didn't listen to your Healthy-ish episode, which I recommend you do, just quickly tell us, what is the Wim Hof Method all about?
Yeah, so the Wim Hof Method is comprised of three pillars, which is breath work, gradual cold exposure, mindset and focus, and commitment.
So can you quickly talk through a few of, what the four are all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So through the day, as you know, we unconsciously breathe. We don't think about it. But when we decide to use this practice, it becomes conscious. And when we make our breath conscious, it takes our mind and body to places that we have never been. It releases hormones and chemicals. It creates stillness within the mind and clarity. Now, number two, the gradual cold exposure. That is quite a big one. We're influencing all of our systems within, and it's giving us a lot more energy and focus. It's scientifically proven to influence the immune response. So anywhere from getting less sick to adapting to cold very well, fearing the cold less. And autoimmune sufferers have, it's scientifically backed to reduce the symptoms, which is a big one.
Yeah, big one.
So you think, rheumatoid arthritis, Lyme disease, there's published papers out on those conditions.
Yeah, actually, can you just mention that? Because, we did talk about in Healthy-ish that Wim Hof actually has scientific papers behind people. Scientists actually went and researched his methods because they were so successful. Can you talk about him and this?
Yeah, absolutely. So he was drawn into the cold when he was quite young, and his wife actually committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
And left him. He had 4 kids to raise. So he made it a daily practice. But what he started to realize that mentally he was thriving in a very difficult time, and he wasn't getting sick. So everybody called him crazy, but what he did over the years was started to do these world records, and that drew the attention of scientists from all around the world. So it's been about a 40-year process, believe it or not, but the method's been out there for the last 10 years, and in that 10 years, we're up to 10 published papers now.
Wow. And so what are some of the benefits, both physically and mentally, of the method?
Yeah, so creating this blood flow through our system, we're influencing our cardiovascular, our nervous, our immune system, our respiratory system. So it really does start off many different cascades of events. And I like to tell people what your mind and body needs right now, you will be given. So for me, back when I first started, I had extreme anxiety, stress, and depression after my divorce. And this led me on to the seeking journey to find the method, and it has allowed me to gain control and understand how my nervous system works. and my mind.
So go back to when you first got involved with it. How did you get involved and what kind of attracted you to it? And tell us about that first cold water immersion.
Yeah, great question. So I was getting to the point where I wasn't leaving the house. It was I lost 90% of people out of my life. It was a horrific time, and I didn't want to stay where I was anymore. So I listened to Wim on a podcast with Joe Rogan, and I had nothing to lose. Gave the breathing a go on my bed, and I saw lights, colours. It was euphoric, and I come out peaceful within. I was calm for the first time in over a year, and I wasn't even going to do the cold shower because cold is just not for me. I mean, who likes the cold, right?
Absolutely. Who likes the cold? Not me either. Yeah.
But it was very vocal, my first cold shower. However, I come out and I was strong.
How long was that first one?
I think about 60 seconds.
Okay.
I got through, but
doable.
Yeah. I mean, doable. Absolutely. You know what? If you want to change yourself, you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to go into it. If you want a different life, you want to be a different person, you want to be optimal, you do what you have to do.
And how did you notice it affecting those areas of your life that you were struggling with?
So it built a lot of resilience within my nervous system. But what I started to realize is that before I went into the shower, I'd have all these negative thoughts like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? But then once I got in there, it would take my breath away. You know, it was cold, it was uncomfortable. And so I started to learn about myself. And so out in the real world, when I'd have a difficult conversation or something would come up, I'm like, oh, hang on, my heart is beating fast. My breath is getting shallower, just like the cold. So now let's take control. Let's exhale long. Let's meet people within the eye, right? And this is how it very gradually, but very quickly, it changed my life.
Yeah,
I become strong.
You know you're in control then.
Yeah.
We will continue the chat after this. So are there any risks or side effects? I mean, is there anything that is there any people who perhaps shouldn't stand in a cold shower for 3 minutes or jump in a, ice tank or whatever, sit in a very cold bath?
So unfortunately, pregnant women, we don't have any science on pregnant women going into the cold, so I can't unfortunately take them at my retreats. The other is epilepsy. That's a no-no because of the blood flow change within the mind. But look, all I would say is that if you've had a heart attack, just get the okay from your doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it raises our heartbeat the same as exercise. So there's a really big misconception, like you're going to get in there and have a heart attack. Not at all. It's
just breathe through it.
Happen. Yeah. But everybody else. That's right. Breathe and believe, as we would say.
So, I mean, you obviously, became a devotee and became an instructor. Tell us about this.
Yeah. So I did it on my own for a year. I mean, back then, this method wasn't out there very much at all, and people would call me crazy. They'd turn their backs on me. So how many
years are we thinking, like 10 years ago or 8 years ago? Or
5.
5, yeah, 5. Right.
Yeah, 5 years ago. And I'd get out of the Thredbo River in the morning and go to the coffee shop, and someone had asked me what I'd been doing. And I'm like, I've just been this is the middle of winter.
Oh, it's the middle of winter when there's snow on the ground.
Yeah. Because I would just live so optimally. Like I was just getting my life on track very quickly. You go from being down the bottom, right, like in the gutter, to just being up and happy and going, life is great, isn't it? But after a year, I was strong enough to be who I wanted to be, to live the life I wanted to live. And I knew Australia had to know about this method. So I travelled overseas and, become an instructor. It took about 8 months.
Did you actually
lots of
have you met Wim Hof himself?
Yeah, many times. I actually was blessed to work with Wim in Thailand 2 years ago. Yeah, his daughter asked me to come over and we took 60 people from around the world through the method.
Oh, great. And so what are some of your highlights? I mean, that obviously is one of them.
Yeah.
Tell us some perhaps highlights, some changes you've seen in some other people when they've got into this. Into the cold water.
Look, the retreats are my favourite because I get to spend, 4 days with people, and they come in and half of them are suffering in many different ways. There's a lot of suffering out there, especially mental health. But as the days progress, we train deeper within the breath work. I have a musician, so it's like a live performance. We release the trauma and the pain, and it's work. Inner work can be hard work. We release emotions, but what you start to see is the progression. The eyes open up, the smiles, and by the end, on day 3, they're hiking through the mountains in their shorts with snow.
Wow.
And they look at. And it's my favourite moment is when they look me in the eye and they smile and they just give me a nod. And they've got the mind-body connection back. They're within, they get it. And then people go off and they either change jobs or change relationships, or everything improves.
Yeah, I like that. So how do you work it into your daily life today, and what impact does it have on today's life of yours?
Yeah. Well, for me right now, COVID hit, right? So I had to cancel a lot of events. And initially, it was quite difficult, but I'm like, get up, Leah, breathe, get into the cold water. What will be, will be. I'm back in, I'm working, I'm in the garden, I spend time with my kids. So it makes me be okay with what is.
Yeah, good answer.
That's a big one.
Yeah. So what listeners who are listening to this, where do we start if we haven't done this before?
Yeah.
What should we do?
A great place to start is jump on to the Wim Hof Method. You can download the breathing app. It's I think the first 5 sessions are free, and you'll be taken through the breath work. Start with a 15-second cold shower as well. And just do that. And if you love it, go and see an instructor, jump on a workshop, come to my retreat. One of them, I'm going to have at least 10 next year, that's looking like. So,
it is really as easy as just stepping in the shower and turning on the cold, isn't it? And that's what makes it, I suppose, we all feel like we can do it, and it can change your body and mind. If you had one tip on how it does help your life, in what way does it do this, and how can we do it?
One tip on how it, look, I will say just do it. Do it the first time. It is the hardest because you've got that monkey mind, the thoughts telling you not to, but you will feel the benefits straight away. And if you keep doing it every single day, where will you be next week? Where will you be in a month's time, in a year's time, if you can make it a commitment?
Yeah, great tip. Leah, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish.
Thank you for having me, Felicity.
Well, if there's one piece of advice we can walk away with, it is just do it. Give it a go. All it takes is jumping in your shower and cranking that water to a cold. If you want more other health, fitness, or meditation, breathing, breathwork advice, make sure you listen to other episodes of Extra Healthy-ish. We publish those every morning, Monday to Thursday. Or jump online, bodyandsoul.com.au, or hey, yes, are you following us on Instagram or Facebook? If not, make sure you do. Thanks again for listening to this chat with Leah. And if you have a moment, I would be so grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. And until tomorrow, stay extra healthy-ish.